the next part of our training is what we do at the end of the month, and it all goes together now as we now start to maximize the volume and working from the bottom up. And, you know, everybody, we want you to take really good notes on this section because this is very important because this is how you're going to literally multiply your volume in the last 10 days of the month. All right, so, you know, we say this is something that you want to do starting at around the 25th of the month, but it's definitely something you want to be watching all month long. Now, to maximize the volume, what you want to do is you want to help people advance ranks based on the volume that's below them. And so you've got to show them what they need, right? And so one of the things that we've learned is that, you know, people don't know. And we make sure all the information is available and out there, but still people don't know. So as leaders, what we need to do is we need to make sure that they know. Now, what do people need to advance? Well, no matter what the rank is, you need 125 PV auto refill, okay? It has to be on auto refill. It has to be one order, not 2 or 3 orders combined, 125 PV auto refill. We run our auto refill in the first week or the first 2 weeks of the month. That way we get it over with and get it done. You know, we really shouldn't be calling leaders at the end of the month saying, hey, where's your auto refill? If you're serious about building the business and you're serious about getting paid, go ahead and get it done in the first, 5 to 10 days of the month, okay? The second thing is you want to make sure you have 500 in team volume, okay? Now, this is actually pretty easy to maintain because team volume is going to come from your personal volume plus the auto refills of the people who are frontline to you. So if you have if you're doing 125 and you have 3 people frontline to you in the 3 legs to diamond structure that are also doing 125, well, 125 times 4 is 500. So you're done. You're good. You're covered. And there's no need to have thousands of TV because there's no TV bonus or anything like that. It's just a minimum 500 TV requirement. And, fortunately, we know there's some people who, unfortunately, there's some people who don't do their auto refill on your front line. Here's the good news. We have something called vertical compression, which means if you have a person who doesn't do their auto refill, the TV below them actually rolls up to you. You can't see it. It doesn't actually show until the 15th when the commissions run, but you can click down there and you can see if is there enough to cover the shortfall if there is a shortfall. So what that means is that when you have a person on your front line who does not do a qualifying auto refill, so maybe they have no auto refill, or maybe they only have 100 points, or 50 points, they do not have a qualifying auto refill. So now what happens is all of the team volume from below that person will now roll up to you. So let's suppose on their front line, they've got 3 people who did a 125 PV auto refill. Well, all 3 of those 125 PVs will roll up to you and count as TV. So that way you'll know. Or maybe they have down below them, you may just drill down a few people and there's no auto refill, and then you get to a brand new manager that's 1,000 points. Well, all 1,000 of those points are going to count toward your TV. Okay, so that's called vertical compression. The company really wants you to qualify, so they're trying to help make it easier for you to make it. So don't panic. Just drill down and see what's down below to see what will make up your TV.
And Tigre, if you're the enroller, let's say you enrolled a new manager, but you placed that person down below a new sponsor, that does not count as your TV.
It does not, right? So that's a good clarifying thing, Jim. I'm glad you bring that up. I had that question 20 times last month. So the only time it counts as your TV is when it's front line to you. If you place them down through the group, or if you move them off of your front line as you're going to place them down, that's not going to count towards your TV anymore, okay? But that's okay, right? You want to make sure, the best thing that you can do if you want to build this business properly is create an auto refill culture in your business. In the presentation, there is the example of the auto refill and how it builds and how it creates that monthly passive income. And that's what we're really building it for. we're not building it for the short-term bonuses. Those are great. They make us profitable along the way. But what you really want, folks, is that, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 a month that comes in every single month, and that comes from auto refills. So again, let's create an auto refill culture in our business where everybody does an auto refill, at least 125 PV. It runs in the first part of the month, and that's just what we do, and it's going to be so powerful. So in addition to the TV, they need the OV, right? So if you want to be a director, you need 5,000 OV. If you want to be a senior director, you need 10,000 OV. If you want to be an executive director, you need 25,000 OV. And presidential directors need 50,000 OV. So you want to make sure you show them exactly what they need. Now, in each of those ranks, there are qualifying legs that you need to have. For director, senior director, and executive director, you need to have at least 3 legs that have 1,000 points in them. Okay? If for presidential director, you need to have at least 3 legs that have 3,000 points. And for every rank above that, you need to have at least 3 legs that have 5,000 points in them. And then there's the leg balance volume that you want to look for, the 40%, which basically says that, and this is good. This is a good thing. People don't understand it sometimes, but I'll tell you what it's here for. It says that, you can't ride one strong horse to the finish line. You've got to create your own business outside of that. The company says, you know what? If you bring in a hot dog who's really doing all the work and who's knocking it out of the park, we're not going to advance both of you because that person is doing it. But here's what we're going to do for you. Because you brought them in or because they're in your group, we're going to let you count 60% of that towards your goal. So that means the remaining 40% of your total OV that you need for your position has to come from outside of that big leg. So, for example, if you're trying to become a senior director, which is 10,000 total points, and you have one leg that's got 6,000 or more points in it, then you still need to have 40% of the 10,000 from your B and C leg, which is 4,000 points. So now that everybody understands this, we're going to show you an example of what we do starting from the 25th of the month. What we do is we start from the bottom. And we start working our way up. And so this is just a short example. It only involves 3 people. But, there may be, 20, 30, 40, even 50 people involved going all the way up the line. But down at the bottom, we've got Brian. And Brian got started, and Brian is rocking, and he is qualified as a director. He's got 3 legs. One has 2,000, the other has 2,000, and the third has 1,000. So he's meeting all of the qualifications for director. And his total volume is 5,000. And so now what we do is we say, okay, who else can use this 5,000 points to advance? So we go up the line, and the very next person above Brian is Sue. And Sue doesn't have anything in her other legs, totally blank. So what we do is we send Sue a message, and we say, hey, Sue, if you do your auto refill, and if you can create 2 more legs of 1,000, just 2,000 more points, guess what? You'll be a director too. So Sue gets excited. She goes, man, I thought I needed 5,000 points. You say, yeah, but you know what? Brian's already given you some of the volume that you need. He's got 5,000, and you can use 3,000 of that towards your director. So if you can just create the other 2 legs of 1,000 that you need, you'll have the 2,000 points in the leg balance that you need to become a director. And if you do it this month, and you let us show you how to do it again next month, you're going to be looking at a $2,000 check. So Sue gets excited and she goes for it, okay? Now what we do next is we go up, we keep going up from Sue. And now we find Steve, right? And maybe Steve is directly above Sue, or maybe Steve is a few people above her, and maybe we skipped over some people that we know they're just totally out of the game or whatever, no problem. We find Steve. Steve is somebody who wants it. And Steve, when we looked at his business, not only did he have the points from Brian, and not only will he get the points from Sue, but he's got 2 other legs started. One of his legs has 2,500 points, and the other leg has 500. So we're looking at this, and we're like, okay, well, look, he's almost got the leg balance. you know, with Brian's volume and Sue's volume, he'll have 7,000 in his big leg. And for him to be a senior director, he'll need 4,000 points in between his B and C legs. What does he have? He's a little bit short. And he also needs to have 3 legs of 1,000. So we say, Steve, if you just get that third leg up to 1,000, which means it needs 500 points, and then you get another 500 points in your second leg there, you'll have 4,000 points outside of Sue and Brian, and that'll make you a senior director. Because really, that's all I need for senior director? So, yep, all you need right now is essentially 1,000 points, but here's how it's got to be split up. And so now Steve goes for it. And in just this little example, you've taken the 5,000 points that you were going to get from Brian, and you have added to it 3,000 points extra that you can now get. You know, folks, this is exactly how we do it. It just takes a little time at the end of the month, but you work it from the bottom up. You know, and actually it's funny, Jim, because I started from the top down. I find that big chunk of volume, and I trace it all the way down. And one thing that you want to know, folks, is you want to use the frontline volume report, okay? So in your back office, you have your success tracker, and directly underneath your success tracker is a link that says View Frontline Volume Report. That is your friend, because it will show you your business one line at a time. You know, so it'll show you and your front lines, and that will allow you to trace down the volume very easily, because when you click on the little gray icon next to a person's name, it will show you, it'll make them the top, and it'll show you their front lines, and you can just drill it down and just follow the big chunk of volume until you get down to the bottom, and then you start working your way up. So what this does is it allows people to focus on creating directors and above, keep track of your new qualifiers, keep track of your second month bonus qualifiers. You know, you want to make sure that we keep track of all this so we can celebrate and recognize people. But I had someone teach me a long, long time ago that you got to know the numbers to grow the numbers. You like to call it figs and gauges, but if you don't keep track of it, folks, if you don't pay attention, everything is going to be an accident. And we want to move in 2013 from being accidental to intentional, and create intentional success and an intentional explosion in 2013.